everybody. It is Chattin with Chap Time, and I'm your host, Ginger Wade. And today is Q&A day. Today we are going to cover some different law issues. We're going to talk about evaluators. There are some convention questions in there. It's kind of like a mix. We haven't had Q&A day since June, so this is going to cover 2 months of questions. Summertime is generally a little bit slower, so it's about the same number of questions that I always answer. But so we're going to tackle those today. I don't know how the rest of you guys are doing out there, but I just got started with my school week. It's our second day, and re-entry into school can be a little bit challenging. So today's challenging. Yesterday was pretty smooth, and today is not as smooth. So I feel it too. I feel the challenge of getting our heads back into that place of schedule and repetition, and I feel it when kids don't remember as much as what they had learned last year, and you're trying to get back into it. It's challenging, so it's not like it's perfect over here in my house. It's certainly not, but we're working on it, and I'm certainly going to be praying over things and willing to do whatever it is that God leads me to do for my kids. So with that being said, let's jump into our questions for the day. The first question I got was actually a letter that came in to us mentioning that there was an evaluator in our area that was giving advice that a particular family or a few families did not agree with. And they were wondering if there was a way to bring that evaluator under some sort of authority, or say, you shouldn't say those things to people, or that type of thing. So we thought over this a long time before responding to the person who wrote. And really, in the law, there's nothing about good evaluators, bad evaluators, or something. I mean, you can be an evaluator. It says nothing about removing someone from being an evaluator at all. There's nothing like that in the law. And here's why that's a good thing. Because there's many different families homeschooling. They all have different needs. Some kids are geniuses. Some kids are very normal. Some kids are struggling learners. Some families like to travel. Some kids like to school at home. Some families like unschooling. Some kids like it's everything. So there's all different types of families homeschooling, which means they need all different types of evaluators, and all those kids need different things. So it's kind of where we landed. If you don't like what an evaluator is saying, you don't have to stay with that evaluator. You can leave and choose a different evaluator. Like I said, we all have different challenges. We have different goals for our kids. Our kids have different needs. And sometimes what an evaluator might say to one family's children is completely appropriate and encouraging and helpful, and helps that mom to continue on her journey. If that evaluator says the exact same thing to a different family, that family might be like, oh my word, are you kidding me? You're not even encouraging my kids, or that's not appropriate for my kids, or whatever. So just because it's not appropriate for your family does not mean it's not appropriate for a different family. So it's good that the law really doesn't say anything about a particular type of evaluator, because that leaves it open for freedom to raise your children the way your children need to be raised. So it's actually a good thing. So you can just choose a different evaluator. I wouldn't speak bad about the evaluator for the reasons that I said before. Exactly their style might be exactly what someone needs. And if you run into someone like that, you can share that evaluator with them. Maybe that would be very helpful to them. You never know. You never know. So that was the evaluator question. Next, someone wrote in and asked about legal advice for co-ops. So sometimes co-ops there's unfortunately an issue that arises, or who knows, it could be anything. So they were asking, where do I go for legal advice? Well, we always point people to HSLDA. And if you are a group leader and you're looking for legal advice specifically for a co-op, not personal, but a co-op, you want to connect yourself with Darren Jones. Darren Jones is the group leader, like the group lawyer. Like, his job is groups. He puts out newsletters on how to encourage your groups and grow your groups and things your groups can do. he also helps with legal issues. So Darren, D-A-R-R-E-N at hslda.org, O-R-G. He's the guy that you want to contact if you are a group leader and have legal questions regarding support groups, co-ops, that type of thing. Okay, so is there a date for convention? No, there is not a date for convention right now. We are still processing through the previous convention. We are also looking for team members to do a convention for next year. And I know a lot of you like to help on the day of convention. We are looking for people who are willing to help throughout the year. We have various positions open, from registration to volunteers to helping with vendors, entrepreneurial. Someone asked if their kid could come sell things at convention, and you know what, lo and behold, once upon a time we did have a young entrepreneur section in the convention hall. They had a cheaper booth price, but they brought in their own things and they sold them there. It was great. I loved it. Again, the vendor coordinator has a lot of work to do, and to add that on top of it for a volunteer position, which we all are, is a struggle. So we're looking for someone who would like to do that sort of thing. So if you want to be involved in making sure that convention happens, if you want to be helping hands, please reach out to us. You can inbox us here or use the contact form at chaponline.com. We would love to hear from you, but we do not have a definite plan for the 2024 convention at this time. I do want to put in there on a side note that we are working on maybe hopefully doing something in the winter, in February, like a renewal kind of a thing with Steve Demi. So, but that's, keep your eyes open and your ears peeled. Is that backwards? Your eyes peeled and your ears open. And get on our e-news. Subscribe to e-news. It's actually chaponline.com/subscribe-to-e-news. One word. It's under contact. It's also on the resources page, so you're on the e-news so you know what's going on. So someone wrote in and said, my son likes to code. He's done a few HTML, some Java, other things like that, not sure what to do. But, don't know any resources. I just went to DuckDuckGo and I did online coding classes. So if you just do basic searches like that, you're gonna come out, and maybe it's verbiage that you don't know what to type in. My kid likes to code. I don't know. It's hard to know what to search. But online coding classes, something like that. There's lots of stuff out there for different classes. So that would be a search you could do to find coding options online. I don't know, what the background is of it. I can't, put the CHAP stamp of approval on any of those classes. But that is one way to find some information about coding classes for kids. Is there a late fee for dropping off my evaluator letter after the deadline, which is June 30th? And there is not a late fee, so we are supposed to have it in by June 30th. As far as I know, there is not any type of thing that happens to if you don't have things in by June 30th. But I think it is wise to be diligent, to be timely, and to work hard at having everything together and into the school by June 30th, if only to reflect well on the homeschool community, so that others don't have anything to say about us and our responsibility and our diligence in educating our children and in keeping up our end of the deal, as it were. So there is no late fee. I don't believe you have anything to fear there. But I do believe in getting your next year's paperwork in and getting your end of the year paperwork in. It behooves you to get it in on time in the appropriate manner, because that reflects well on the rest of us. So if there's lots of places that can say, well, they don't get stuff in on time and they don't this and they don't that, who knows who that's going to get back to? And it could end up being more restrictions on us, which we certainly do not want here in the state of Pennsylvania. So, yeah. So, no, you will not get a late fee. You do not need to fear the school district. But at the same time, be responsible. Stay on top of your game. And I know life happens. That's not to say that, if you're taken to the ER and whatever, and health happens and life happens and you can't do it, that's a different story. But, be prepared. Plan on having that ready ahead of time. Get it done. Don't wait till the last minute. I just think it's a really good reflection on our community if we're on top of things like that. So someone else wrote in and asked what gets handed in at the beginning of the year. So if you checked out my last video, was it the last? Yeah, it was. It was getting started with homeschooling, and it talked all about the paperwork process. It talked all about philosophical things to consider when getting started. But I'll say really short and sweet right here. So if you look at episode 216, was all about that process. Handing in at the beginning of the year, affidavit or an unsworn declaration, objectives, immunization records. Those are the things that go in at the beginning of the year. Do I give medical records? No. You keep your medical records at home. Your affidavit, if you use ours, the affidavit and the unsworn declaration attest that you're taking care of medical care. No need to send those things in. Again, on YouTube, I just uploaded episode 80, all about medical requirements. You can check that out. 165 is all about immunization records. Go check that out. And my previous episode was all about how to get started. So check those things out. It'll cover all these things in more detail. Is what you hand in different for new students? No. New homeschoolers hand in the same information as old homeschoolers. The timeline is just a little bit different. It's August 1st for returning, and whenever you decide to homeschool for everybody else. Okay, so will the superintendent have an issue with exemptions, meaning medical or immunization exemptions? No, they should not. I have never used a medical exemption. I just use my affidavit as attesting to that stuff is being done. I do use immunization exemptions and have never had an issue with that. Again, I talked all about immunization exemptions. I believe it's episode 165. It's definitely out in the law list on YouTube. If your superintendent has an issue with not receiving medical records, you can have your PCP, your pediatrician, write a note, a generic little note that says, as of this date, this child is up to date with medical care, signed here. There you go. So if your superintendent wants to push, you can give them that generic letter. Good to go. Okay, so PA history curriculum for 7th and 8th grade. Someone was looking for a Pennsylvania history curriculum. So again, I did a Google search. Very easy to do this. And I looked for homeschool curriculum for Pennsylvania curriculum, middle school, whatever. I mean, just throw some words in there. And there's a website called meaningfulhomeschooling.com / Pennsylvania-history-resources. They have a page there for history resources. And what's listed on there is what I used, which was the Pennsylvania Keystones, which was written by Susan Kemmerer. That's being sold at lamppposthomeschool.com. And that Pennsylvania Keystones covers like 3rd through 7th grade, so you can make it a little meatier for your older kids if you want to, but it's very thorough. Some really good information in there that's not normally shared about William Penn, about his background, and about all those types of things about Pennsylvania. So if you're really wanting to get back into the beginning of things and who the people were and what they were like and the world circumstances around William Penn, it's an excellent course. I do definitely suggest that if you're looking for something for PA history. Okay, so how do I sign up for e-news? I did talk about this before. ChapOnline.com, resources tab, or the Connect tab. It's just chaponline.com / subscribe-to-e-news. And I'm telling you, if you're on that e-news, you're going to know when convention is happening. You're going to know if we come up with another event to have. You're going to know, I don't know, all the stuff that comes out of us that we have to let you know about. If there's legislative issues, legislative updates, articles, video highlights that we're doing, if I do an interview that we want to highlight, it's all going to be on those e-news emails that you get once a week. So you're going to want to sign up for that. Someone again asked, when do I need to file my affidavit for returning homeschoolers? It's by August 1st, which has passed already. And if you're brand new, never homeschooled before, you have up to 3 days after the beginning of the school year, and if you're your local school district. So if your school district starts on August 28th, you have until 29, 30, 31 to get your paperwork in. And it's 3 days because it's 3 days truancy. That's the Pennsylvania truancy laws with compulsory age and stuff like that. So that's why you do the 3 days after the beginning of the school year, if you're brand new. Again, compulsory age talks and getting started talks, I cover those things. So go back and watch my other videos. It's all in there. And where are we located? This is the last question of the day. So someone wrote in and was wondering where we were. So we are not a school, so you can't send your children to us to educate your children. But if you want to give us a donation, or you have something, I don't know, to drop off, or you want to send us a thank you letter, or you want to send us suggestions for convention, or you want to, whatever it is that you might want to write to us about. Our mailing address is 610 Lansvale Street, Lansvale Street, Marysville, PA, 17053. And we do have a phone number. It is 717-838-0980. And Kathy takes calls there if you need to call in, or you know someone who has questions but does not use the internet much and prefers to make phone calls. You can certainly call in and ask us your questions there. As always, you can write into us on the contact form on chaponline.com, or you can inbox us here at Facebook, or you can comment on videos on YouTube or on podcasts or on these videos here on Facebook. We are happy to chat with you and help you, point you to resources that we have that will answer your questions, or go do some research for you and find out answers to questions that we don't know the answers to. So like this time around, the Darren Jones question, legal help for co-op groups. I knew Darren Jones, but I didn't quite have his email address, so that was good. Now I have the information, I can share it with you, and you're all well prepared. So that is it that I have for today. I am not going to have a video next week. I'm going to be hopefully working on updating our testing video, adding a few more recent bits of information to it. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to interview Durenda Wilson. Now, if you don't know Durenda Wilson, she is out there on the homeschooling speaker circuit, sharing lots of great stories and information and suggestions and encouragement from her homeschooling journey. She's got lots of boys. We both have a Luke, and we were chatting about our Lukes, which was very fun and interesting. So she's going to come on and talk with me in 2 weeks about raising hard workers and why that's important. So I'm looking forward to interviewing Durenda in 2 weeks. So I hope to see you here then. In the meantime, I will possibly be uploading some older videos onto YouTube. So if you go check out CHAP Homeschool Pennsylvania on YouTube, you will find us. And I'm going to be starting to create some playlists, so it's easier to find some of our pre-recorded videos or previously recorded videos, because there's so many on Facebook, it's hard to find them. So I'd like to group them on YouTube for you guys so you can find things easily and go back and watch some of those things that are important to you. Because it's funny, I'm going back and looking through my list and going, wow, I forgot that I did that. That's really helpful. Like episode 146, which was taking your kids from public school to homeschool, that we recorded during COVID. So keep your eye on the YouTube channel. It's going to be changing and updating and growing. So if you're looking for content to watch and encouragement about homeschooling in the state of Pennsylvania, that is the place to go. So thank you for tuning in today. I look forward to being with you again in 2 weeks, and enjoy the rest of your summer or the beginning of your school year. And as you continue to train your children to follow Christ in all of life, loving on them, taking in the Word together, learning to pray together, learning to live for Jesus together, and loving the life that God has given you as a family. So take care. We're very appreciative of your support, and we'll look to see you next time. All right, bye now.